My name is Kevin. I'm 33 years old this year. After graduating from college, I worked for a major food manufacturer, but I couldn't stand the environment where my opinions were never listened to, so I ended up changing jobs. The company I got a job at after that is my current company. This time it's a confectionery company, and it's a company that mainly deals with candy subscriptions, delivering original candies every month. Fortunately, sales are doing well, and we are currently providing services to almost the entire country. This time, I was moved to the planning and development department. It seems that not only doing clerical work, but also coming up with ideas on my own suits me better. I think I'm able to do what I want to do more freely than at my previous workplace. However, I seem to be quite active, and in order to get my projects approved, I often need to develop new sources for obtaining materials. But there were rumors that I was causing a lot of trouble for the salespeople every time. But our sales department is excellent, and they always secure contracts for us. Among them, a guy named Mark has been entrusted with a lot of my projects, so we naturally became close. Hey, Kevin, I heard you got another project approved. Congratulations. Yeah, thanks. It's all thanks to you and the reliable sales department. If you understand that, then that's good. I'll make sure to close the deal this time too, so leave it to me. During lunch break, Mark sat down in front of me while I was having lunch in the cafeteria. The other day, my project proposal was approved at a meeting, and it seems that Mark will be in charge of the contracts for the necessary sales destinations and material suppliers this time as well. This is my 5th year in the company, and I really like the current environment where I can clearly communicate my opinions and see results. But you know, I'd rather do sales for Jessica than for you. Those cool eyes, that slender figure, and that refreshing voice. You're so lucky. I wanted to work under such a beautiful woman too. Mark has been fond of our department head for a while now. The head of the planning and development department, Jessica. She is 35 years old, 2 years older than us. As Mark said, she doesn't dress particularly flashy, but she has a natural beauty. Her neatly styled hair and silver-framed glasses suit her well. Her eyes behind them are slightly upturned and give a rather sharp impression, but they fit perfectly with the image of a shrewd woman. And her voice when giving us instructions is also very clear and pleasant. So, it seems she has many fans outside the department, but within our planning and development department, she was slightly avoided. The reason for that is, boss, I've compiled the minutes of the recent meeting. Thank you very much. I'll check it now. Yes, I've checked it. Good work. After exchanging these minimal conversations, she would share a version of the minutes submitted by her subordinates, with more than half of it revised to the entire department. I'm sorry, boss. I haven't prepared the necessary documents at all yet. I see. Understood. Please prepare as much as possible from now on. Just when you think she told you to prepare the documents until the last minute before the meeting, the department head would present perfect supplementary documents at the meeting. Of course, there are some people who think that's kind, but many people are openly dissatisfied, thinking that if that's the case, she should have done everything herself from the beginning. The nickname given to her based on such episodes is AI department head. She only gives programmed responses and performs her work perfectly. That's the kind of woman Jessica is. However, I've always thought, if you have complaints, you should tell her directly. There was a time when I asked a junior who was frustrated that he made a mistake but wasn't scolded by Jessica. Hey, if you're that dissatisfied, why don't you tell the department head directly? Huh? Well, yeah, but isn't it lame to ask why she's not getting angry at me? Really? I think if something is bothering you, you should properly ask the person herself. Still, the junior didn't go to the department head. If you don't say what's on your mind, it won't be conveyed. The department head isn't a god, you know. I understand that. But, you know, I don't even know what she is thinking. Then the two of us looked at the department head together. The department head, who had a minimal amount of documents spread out on her desk and was typing on the keyboard, showed no sign of noticing our gaze. She just had a calm expression, her gaze going back and forth between the documents and the monitor. Certainly. I wonder what the department head herself is thinking. I have honestly conveyed my opinions to her so far, and I have asked her various questions. I know that she will give her opinion if asked, but certainly her words are all common sense, So the number of people asking questions has decreased. I wonder what she, who is now almost isolated, is thinking. In the midst of this, the details of the new local candy I planned were roughly decided, so it became necessary to go on a business trip to Florida. Although the specific type of candy hasn't been decided yet, it seems that several farmers who can provide oranges have been found, so we will actually go and check the situation. Also, as a greeting, checking the quality of the products is the job of us in the planning and development department. Therefore, it's natural for me, the proposer, to go to the site. However, I thought I would be going alone, but even department head Jessica said she would accompany us on this business trip. I was surprised, but I was happy to think that even the higher-ups have high expectations for my project. Finally, the day of the business trip arrived. When we gathered at Orlando International Airport, I was a little surprised. "Good morning, Kevin." "Oh, good morning." "Huh, boss." I had arrived quite early before the appointed time and was waiting while drinking coffee, but the department had spotted me and called out to me. However, instead of her usual suit pants and sharp hairstyle, she was wearing comfortable sneakers and a casual outfit that was easy to move in. Her pants style is the same as always, but it looks very easy to move in. And above all, boss, your glasses. I'm wearing contact lenses today since there's no desk work, and we're heading to a forum. If my glasses shift or fall off while moving around, it will interfere with work. Yes, department head Jessica appeared with her hair tied up high and wearing contact lenses. I had also come in comfortable, loose-fitting clothes, but I was surprised by the department head's unusual attire and ended up saying it out loud. "Boss, you look great. It really suits you. Rather than casual and beautiful, today you look cute." "Is that so?" "Thank you. Cute. I'll take that as a compliment." "Huh? I am complimenting you. You're cute." "Boss, you always have a blank expression and only engage in minimal conversation, giving off an impenetrable vibe, but today you somehow feels more comfortable to be around." "I see. If you're done with that coffee, let's go through the boarding procedures." "Yes." The department head glanced at my coffee cup and said that. However, to me, that gesture seemed like she was averting her gaze. I felt like her brow furrowed slightly, and her cheeks turned red as if she was troubled. After that, we went through the boarding procedures as instructed and boarded the plane on time. It takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours, so we'll spend that time relaxing on the plane. It's been a while since I've been on a plane. Have you ever been on a plane, boss? Yes, I have. I originally came to New York City from a rural area, so I've flown quite a few times. Oh, is that so? My family home is also in a rural area, so I've only flown occasionally for school trips or, business trips. By the way, where is your hometown? It's a secret. For some reason, the department head turned her face away and looked out the window at the runway spread out before takeoff. Huh? Why are you hiding it? Oh, did you not want to be asked? I'm sorry. No, I don't mind, but are you that interested? Well, yes, I am. I haven't had many chances to talk with you like this, so I'd like you to tell me various things. Oh, did you want to relax? I'm sorry. If I'm being a bother, please let me know. I'll be quiet then. I see. I'll let you know when that time comes. After saying that, the department head, who had been looking out the window, looked at me again. At that moment, the corners of her mouth lifted slightly, and her upturned eyes narrowed gently. It's the first time I've seen the department head's smiling face. I'm already surprised even though the business trip has just begun. I think it showed on my face, but not minding that. This time the department head started talking to me. Kevin, are you not afraid of me? Huh? I'm not particularly afraid, but why? Well, I know that everyone calls me the AI department head. When she said that, I thought for a bit. Well, not being able to see emotions does make people uneasy. I'm also scared when I don't know if my response is appropriate. And yet, you're not afraid of me. No, because, boss, if I ask, you always give me an answer, right? If I say, this is what I think, but what do you think, boss, you'll tell me your opinion, won't you? That's why I'm okay, I guess. Then this time, the department head seemed to start thinking about something and fell silent for a bit. AI department head, loading. I desperately suppressed the urge to tease her and waited for her to form her words. If I'm asked, I'll respond. If I'm not asked, my opinion might hinder that person, so I just don't say it. The plane was about to take off soon. The words squeezed out in the midst of that seemed like they didn't quite sit well with her either, because her expression looked a bit troubled, and she tilted her head slightly. Seeing that, I couldn't help but laugh. She was surprised and had a puzzled look on her face. I've never seen an expression like this before. Boss, you thought a lot and told me that. I'm happy. I see. So that's how you thought about it. I said to the department head, who was still blinking her eyes, wondering what I was laughing at. That's your way of thinking, so I think it's fine as it is. I don't think it's a bad thing for there to be people who think that way. I blurt out everything I think. So I'm but I'm always seeking your help, boss. That's why I always consult with you. So, it's not like I'm repaying the favor, but I always want you to consult with me too. Department head Jessica continued to stare at my face with a blank expression. I want to be of help to you too, boss. Of course, I don't mean you absolutely have to consult with me, but more like I want you to reach out when you're having a bit of trouble. You know, boss. Just as I said that, the plane began to accelerate vigorously. Gradually, I could feel the G-force pressing my body against the seat. Oh, it's taking off. It's flying, boss. Sure. Excited by the plane ride after a long time, I looked at the department head like a child who had come to an amusement park. And there, I saw her looking down shyly. At that moment, the words taking advantage of the engine noise were the only thing I could hear for the first time. Did you say something? No, nothing. The department head turned her face away again. However, I remember that the face I saw through the window looked a little happy, because when the plane took off and the situation stabilized, I vaguely thought that this person makes such an expression too. After a while, she seemed to have fallen asleep at some point and was breathing peacefully. She's a capable person, so she must be accumulating a lot of fatigue. I called out to the flight attendant, borrowed a blanket to put over her, and then quietly waited for us to arrive. And she woke up from the impact of landing. Her somewhat dazed appearance was so unguarded, unlike her usual self, that I couldn't help but laugh. I showed you an unsightly appearance. As soon as we got off the plane, she muttered regretfully. I never thought that just by being away from her usual environment, she would show me so many different expressions. While immersed in such thoughts, we took a quick look around the restaurants in the airport, but they all seemed crowded since it was lunchtime. Even if we lined up, we didn't know how long we would have to wait, and at worst, we might be late for our first scheduled appointment. As I stood there wondering what to do, she thought for a moment and then lightly tugged on my arm. Kevin, let's go. We'll have lunch near our destination. Ah, I see. But I wonder if there will be a restaurant conveniently available. There's one, so it'll be all right. The department head walking in front of me said in a slightly forceful tone of voice, as if she had gained some kind of certainty. I wonder if she had looked into it that far in advance. If so, it means she had anticipated this situation. As I expected, she is good at her job. I need to learn from her. Learn what? It seems I had inadvertently said it out loud, and she gave me a puzzled look as we got into the taxi. When we told the driver the address near the form, the car proceeded without getting caught in any traffic jams. At this rate, it looked like we would arrive at the destination much earlier than scheduled. Excuse me, please turn at that corner. Just as we were about to arrive at the farm, she gave detailed instructions to the driver, and the car stopped in front of a small diner. As if it was the most natural thing, she opened the door of that diner. Welcome. Oh my. A woman wearing an apron turned to us with a big smile. Perhaps because the peak had passed while we were traveling, there were only a few customers left in the restaurant, so it didn't seem to be a problem for us to have a meal. As soon as the woman in the apron saw the department head, her eyes lit up with delight, and despite having other customers, she ran over and clasped the department head's hands in both of hers. Jessie. It's Jessie, isn't it? Oh my, what should we do? Honey. The woman called the department head by her first name and happily called out to the kitchen. What's up? Oh, it's Jessie. Wait, did I hear that you were coming home today? The man who came out of the kitchen wiping his hands on his apron smiled gently. He also called the department head by her first name, and after making a happy face, he tilted his head in puzzlement. Jessie, Then the department head gave her a smile and said to me, "Jessica's diner, as you can see, is my family home." The other customers were glancing at us, but the department head's parents started talking, not minding that at all. "That's right. Did Jessie tell us she was coming home?" "I'm sorry, I forgot to write it on the calendar." "I have completely forgotten too. But you must be tired. What do you want to do? Should I heat up the bath? Or do you want to have some tea and relax for a bit? Come to think of it, we only had some crackers for snacks. The salty ones. Is that okay? Has Jessie's father eaten all the ones with sugar crystals that Jessica likes?" "Oh, I'm sorry. I like the ones with sugar crystals too. I don't need a bath or crackers. I just stopped by on short notice because I was in the area for work today. I want to have a meal as a customer now. Is that okay?" The department head stated only the necessary things to her parents, who had started a cheerful conversation. She must be used to it, as she said that with an exasperated look. "Oh, so that's how it was. Got it. I'm happy to be able to cook for Jessie after a long time. Let me know when you decide what you want to eat." Seeing Jessica's face made your dad energetic. "Okay then, Jessica, you can sit wherever you like." After saying that, they finally made eye contact with me. "Oh my, is this your boyfriend? Welcome." No, this person is a subordinate who came with me. We're just going to eat together." "Oh, so that's how it was. Sorry for the late introduction. I'm Jessie's father. I'm Jessie's mother. Jessie, I'm so happy you brought a man home. I must prepare a feast tonight. By the way, hey, what about marriage?" "Jess, I think we'll get married soon." "Hey, Kevin, don't joke around too." "I'm sorry. I'm Kevin, department head Jessica's subordinate. Excuse me for intruding." Following the smiling parents, I also bowed and made a small joke. The department head, who was watching this, slapped me on the back, so I straightened up while laughing. "Geez, we'll be late for the meal and the appointment at this rate." "Ah, you're right. That's how it is, so I'll have the ginger pork." "What about you, Kevin?" I'll have your dad's recommendation." "Got it. I'll put my heart and soul into making it." Saying that, the department head's father rolled up his sleeves and went back to the kitchen. Her mother placed napkins on our table with a smile, and then went to place napkins for the other tables as well. When I glanced at the department head, she had a face that looked drained in an instant. Boss, it's no good. My parents, they have their own world, or rather, they both have their own pace. So unless someone takes the helm to a certain extent, things just don't progress at all." She put her elbow on the table and held her head. The reason why she can handle things efficiently is thanks to, or rather, because of these parents." Feeling strangely convinced, I inadvertently let out a dry laugh, but the smiles the two showed earlier must have been genuine. After taking a sip of water, I looked around the restaurant and spoke to the department head. "So that's why you're so reliable, boss. Am I reliable? If so, it's more like I have no choice but to be reliable. Then, I'll create an environment where you can feel at ease, boss." "Huh? I'll say what I want to say. You also say what you want to say. If we know what each other is thinking, we'll know how much we can help each other, right? You know, like how you do with your parents." "No, you say that so easily, but then work efficiency will improve, and above all, it'll be easier for you, boss, won't it?" In front of the stunned department head, a ginger pork was placed along with the fragrant aroma of sauce and ginger. "Here's the ginger pork, and this is the chicken cutlet. Jessie loves chicken cutlet." A chicken cutlet was placed in front of me. The crispy fried chicken was topped with homemade delicious-looking sauce. I stuffed it into my mouth and my eyes lit up at the deliciousness. It's delicious. I'm glad you like it." Seeing that exchange, department head Jessica. "Oh, boss, you're smiling." "Huh? I do smile normally, you know. Is it that rare for Jessie to smile?" "Yeah, I've never seen you smile so happily before." "Is that so?" Was it not that the department head was expressionless, but that she had actually been smiling all this time? Anyway, it was the first time I had seen her having fun with such trivial conversation, and somehow it made me happy. After finishing the meal and leaving the restaurant, she seemed to have a refreshed and calm expression, perhaps due to the sense of security from being at her family home. After finishing our meal, we headed straight to the farm. The farm wasn't that big, but it was immediately clear that they handled high-quality oranges. The people at the farm were very kind, and when we said it was delicious and stuffed the fruit into our mouths, they told us various stories. Then, the department head opened her mouth on her own. I was born near here, but I've never tasted such delicious oranges before. That triggered a lively conversation between the farm people and her, to the extent that anyone who knew her at work would be surprised. Her expression at that time was very rich, and she was definitely not an AI department head. Having finished the visit without any issues and completed all the work, I was about to return to the hotel provided by the company. Then, when the department head tried to come with me, I inadvertently said, "Boss, don't you want to stay with your family?" "Yes, well, it's tiring to deal with those two." "It certainly is tiring to deal with people who have their own pace, isn't it?" We both laughed as we said that. I saw many different faces of her today. At that moment, her phone rang. It seemed to be from her mother. "Got it. I'll ask and see, so wait a moment." And she turned to me with an apologetic look and asked, "My parents are saying they want to have dinner together. They won't listen at all even if I refuse. I'm sorry, but how about having dinner at my place?" "Huh? Is that okay?" "Of course. Only if you don't mind, boss." Since she had just said it was tiring, I wanted to respect her opinion. When I said that, she nodded once and then put the phone to her ear. "Okay, we'll come now. Seriously, we're gonna go back to the hotel after having dinner, okay?" She sounded like a child annoyed by her parents meddling. The department head's human side was showing through. Led by her, I ended up heading to the department head's family home on the second floor of Olivia's diner where we had lunch earlier. "Thank you for always taking care of Jessie. She must be a difficult child. It must be hard to deal with her, right?" When we arrived at her family home, various dishes were already lined up on the dining table. There was salad, grilled beef, fried chicken, and so much that the four of us couldn't finish it all. Jessica was angry that they made too much, but when she saw her parents happily standing in the kitchen, she quickly gave in and sat at the table. We poured beer for each other, had a slightly early toast, and comforted each other. "You're a weirdo. Why do you get involved with me?" "Huh? Well, because you're interesting to watch, boss." "Interesting? Me? There's no way. There's no way I'm interesting." Anyone could see that her face was bright red, and it was easy to tell that she was drunk. "It seems she's not that good with alcohol." She had been repeating, "Why do you pay attention to me? And you're a weirdo," while picking at the fried chicken. And sorry to say, it was quite funny. Each time, I also repeated, "Because I'm interested in you, and I don't mind being a weirdo." After a while, she collapsed on the table with a thud and started breathing peacefully in her sleep. Perhaps she felt more secure than when she slept on the plane, and it seemed like she was smiling happily. The unguarded appearance of a beautiful woman is quite nice too. As I was thinking that, her parents, who had taken their seats a little late, covered her with a towel blanket and spoke to me. It's not difficult at all. If I ask her various things, she answers me, and she also respects my intentions. Although she's often misunderstood by those around her, I think boss feels like she has to do everything herself. Then her father lowered his eyebrows and looked at Jessica with an apologetic expression. Since we've always been self-paced, as a result of constantly thinking she had to be reliable, she ended up taking on too much. Of course, we also wanted her to be free, but we had our limits. We were worried about whether she was doing well after leaving home. But you know, seeing her face after a long time, I felt very relieved. She seemed to be having a really good time. I wonder if she's even more strict at work. I told them that was exactly right. When I told them about her behavior at work, the two of them had a wry smile but also looked somewhat happy. Since long ago, she was expected to be a model student at school too. Even if we told her she didn't have to, she ended up becoming one. It was probably her way of getting by. But when Jessica is with you, Kevin, she is as lively as when she was a child. So, thank you very much. Upon hearing those words, I couldn't help gazing at her. She was sleeping peacefully, looking comfortable. Was she really opening up to me? I was just interacting with her the way I wanted to, so it felt a bit strange to be thanked. But if that puts her parents and she herself at ease, there's nothing more joyous. I honestly accepted their gratitude and her father poured me another beer. This girl probably won't wake up today, so you should stay the night. The bath is ready, and you can freely use the guest room. Thank you very much. I decided to take them up on their offer since I wanted to hear more about Jessica from the two of them. If I had to say one more thing, maybe I wanted to look at Jessica a little longer. And so, I spent the night at her family home. The next day, the one who came to wake me up was Jessica, who had already changed clothes and tied her hair. Kevin, please wake up. It's already noon. If we don't leave now, we won't make it in time for the flight. Jessica, who had properly put in her contact lenses, looked down at me directly. As she let go of the blanket she had pulled, she laughed in exasperation and tried to leave the room. I'm sorry about yesterday, but the drinks I had with you were very delicious. Let's do it again sometime. I was taken aback by the unexpected words and smile. It's true that I was looking forward to what would happen on the business trip with just the department head and me, but a lot more happened than I had imagined. On the flight back, I couldn't even reflect on it all, but I was able to think about a few things. When the plane arrived and we parted ways at the airport, I conveyed to my boss once again what I had thought at that time. Boss, you can rely on me, even if it's just when you want to rely on someone. Because no matter what kind of boss you are, I think of you as a boss. She stared at my face as if thinking about something, but she just said, thank you. And the next time she raised her head, I firmly etched in my heart the smile that appeared on her face. The day after the business trip, I put on my suit and headed to the company. Then I saw her walking a little ahead. She had returned to being the usual crisp department head, as if the past 2 days had been a lie. Her figure walking down the street, her heels clicking sharply, also looked cool. I took a big step forward, intending to call out to her without hesitation. At that moment, a man called out to her, "Good morning, Jessica." It was Mark from the sales department. He had been saying for a while that he was interested in her, but were they close enough for him to call out to her? I wondered as I watched the situation. Then, boss returned the greeting without even moving an eyebrow. "Good morning, Mark. You remembered me. I'm so happy." Mark, who was walking cheerfully next to her as she walked at a brisk pace, couldn't stop talking. "Jessica, you always come to work quite early, right? How about we go have coffee together before work today?" "I won't. You're so cold. But that's what makes you cool. Won't you let me treat you? I have something I want to talk to you about." "No, thanks. If it's a consultation, I'll listen to you at the company. But it's not something I can talk about at the company." Mark vigorously grabbed her arm. He showed no sign of relenting. She reflexively stopped and tried to shake off his arm, but with a woman's strength, she was no match at all. Mark tried to forcibly move forward while still holding her hand. People around them started to turn their gazes, wondering what was going on. This is bad, and by the time I thought that, I was already running. "Let go of her, she doesn't like it." Breathing while slightly shaking my shoulders, I pulled Mark's arm away from her. She also quickly hid behind my back. Mark glared at me with obvious displeasure. "What the hell? This has nothing to do with you. Don't get in the way. It does have to do with me. When there's someone in trouble right in front of me, it's only natural to help them." Then, Mark laughed through his nose. "You know, you're always saying these pretty words like it's the natural thing to do, but aren't you embarrassed? I'm just honestly saying what I think. Then I'm also just telling Jessica what I'm thinking right now. You get it, right? I understand that you want to ask her out. That's your intention, so that's fine. But she has shown that she doesn't want to. Do you have the right to ignore that?" When I said that, Mark bit his lips tightly and distorted his face with resentment. "If you just keep pushing your own feelings, you won't be able to open up to the other person. Isn't it important to lend an ear to the other person's opinions and respect them even if you can't agree?" Then, as if Mark had lost his temper, he shook off my hand that had stepped in to stop him and raised his voice loudly, despite being on a public street. "Then you should shut up. I'll settle this with Jessica. Got it? But I'll stay like this because it'd be a problem if you resort to violence." "That's fine. Jessica, you heard the conversation, right?" Saying that, Jessica, who was behind me, stared at Mark. She was silent for a while, so I had no idea what she would do, and I was bracing myself to protect her if Mark made a move. Then, her hand grabbed the back of my suit. I'm sorry, but I cannot accept such invitations at all in the future. Please limit it to work-related consultations only," she said in an expressionless and calm tone of voice. At that moment, Mark raised his voice again. "Huh? Hey, don't mess with me. Don't get carried away just because you're pretty. I simply conveyed my intentions. Now, if you'll excuse me. Kevin, let's go." She grabbed my arm and started running, passing by Mark, who stomped his foot with a thud on the spot. Her hand gripped strongly with force and was trembling slightly. "Boss. Jessica. What is it?" "The company. We passed it." "Huh?" She stopped, breathing heavily, and I also repeated rough breaths next to her, trying to steady my own ragged breathing. We had run in a daze and had gotten quite far from the company. She looked back at the path we had come from with a blank expression. However, she was still firmly gripping my arm, causing wrinkles in my suit. It couldn't be helped after being threatened like that right in front of her. The moment I thought that, I was scared. I was scared. If I had been alone, I wouldn't have been able to move. "Thank you, Kevin." Hey, wait a second, boss." Mark was no longer in sight. Perhaps realizing that, she started to shed tears on the spot. Even I was surprised by this, and I hurriedly offered her a handkerchief. To calm down for a moment, I had her sit on a nearby park bench and bought her coffee. Finally, I sat down next to her without saying anything. I decided not to look at the clock. Right now, the best thing to do would be to stay with her until she calmed down. And finally, after calming down, she opened her mouth. "I'm sorry for causing you trouble. I'm okay now, thank you." "No, it's all right. But boss, you relied on me properly, didn't you?" You kept grabbing my back, and you kept holding my arm too. Your words and expression were the same as usual, but I could tell you wanted me to help you." Jessica looked at the coffee in her hands with an embarrassed expression. I took her hand and looked at her. Our eyes didn't meet right now, but I thought it would be fine if she raised her face someday. I was really happy. I felt that you trusted me. From now on, even if it's just a little at a time, please tell me what you're thinking, boss. When I said that, she nodded slightly while still looking down. In the end, we ended up being late that day, but we pretended that we had gotten caught up in a small accident. After that, perhaps because I started coming to work and leaving together with the department head more often, not knowing what Mark might do, there seemed to be people who suspect our relationship. However, the AI department head is still going strong, so no one actually asks her directly. So inevitably, more people come to ask me, but I've decided to honestly reply like this. I like her. As for what she thinks, I'll be satisfied if she tells me when she wants to convey it. Not all men and women who are together in this world have to be couples. We think it's best to continue our relationship in the way that we think is best, based on our own considerations. So I'm not in a hurry at all or having a change of heart, but the other day when I went out to eat with her she said this to me. "Is it okay if I take that joke seriously?"